Welcome everyone to the debut of a new game on the channel. I mentioned at the end of 2025 how I wanted to bring Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire to the channel. Besides trying to learn the game to present to you what I hope you think is a good run, with one of my favorite Pokemon, and life and whatnot getting in the way, there's no better time than now. And what makes today the perfect day to debut a new game? Well, it's actually my birthday today, and I wanted to run my favorite starter from Generation 3, along with one of my favorite Pokemon from Hoenn as the debut video. Before we get into it though, if you could, leave a happy birthday DwunD in the comments, and let's see if we can get this video to, I'll set it at 37 likes for now, to match my age. Ultimately, I'd love to see 69 likes, nice, on this video, or more. But hey, let's start small and go from there. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. One quick thing I want to address though, I will not be doing any post-game in these runs, so no Delta episode. I just wasn't really feeling it with including it, and I already do the post-game in my Generation 5 runs. And I know a lot of folks don't give a shit about Gen 5's post-game, and as time has gone on, I've been enjoying the post-game in those games less and less. If people really want to see me battle Zinnia at the end of these games, maybe I could include it in future runs. Maybe I could do a compilation video of them all. I don't know right now. The only thing I do know right now is that I don't have any interest in it, but I'm curious to know your thoughts below about the Delta episode. Let's address something else really quick. The reason I went with the Generation 6 games over just playing Emerald is because I wanted the newer mechanics for its time. Also, these new games have Megas. Groudon and Kyogre have Primal forms, which I will be running on the channel in the future. Although these games do mimic the gym leaders teams from Ruby and Sapphire, which makes Tate and Liza a bit easier. Which for a Pokemon like Blaziken, I won't mind. But let's get into the run and talk about Blaziken as a Pokemon. On paper, the stats aren't bad. It's a starter. 530 base stat total, and it's in the medium slow level up group. The 120 attack and 110 special attack are great. The 80 speed is good enough for when I did my initial test run, which in that run I used a neutral hardy nature, but in this run I'll be going lonely to give our attack a boost while decreasing our physical defense. As far as the defenses, they are what they are. Its Mega though has an attack stat off the charts. One quick thing I want to talk about is abilities. Obviously every starter has the type boosting ability to their typing. For Blaziken, it's Blaze. If my health drops below a third, my fire type moves get a 50% increase in power. But I want to talk about its hidden ability Speed Boost really quick. I think this ability could be useful for certain fights later on, but not to the point where the text that pops up every turn and ultimately slows down your overall time is worth it. I'm only briefly mentioning Speed Boost because it is Mega Blaziken's ability, which that thing already has 100 base speed, and hey, if you can outspeed everything with a 160 base attack stat, your opponent is going to be in trouble. The last thing I'll say about Megas is that for my solo running series, I've been thinking of banning them. However, I want to ask you, my viewers, what's your take on Mega Evolution? I was leaning towards if my opponent had a Pokemon that Mega Evolves, I don't have a problem doing it myself, which in this game, I think there's only 2, maybe 3 fights that happens. And for the starters, you don't get access to their Mega Stones until Fortree City, which is the home of the 6th gym badge. I also plan on doing Megas as standalones later, which is why I've slightly leaned towards banning them. Let me know your thoughts down below. I've been rambling a lot in these opening minutes. So what do you say we get into the first real battle of this challenge run? And that is against our rival Brendan. Unfortunately for him, his little Mudkip doesn't stand a chance against our mighty Fire Chicken. I have to take it out over 3 turns because Scratch is such a weak move, but Blaziken was never in any danger of losing this one. Since this is a new game on the channel, I'm going to talk about some of the aesthetics along with new features introduced. The first is shown by the rival here, Sneaking, where you can sneak up on a Pokemon in shaking grass instead of doing a dead sprint towards it. He also briefly mentioned the Dex Nav, which I'll get into a little bit later. For a solo challenge, neither are useful for me though, so we can move on. As I make my way towards the first gym in Rustboro City, I'm going to be battling every trainer I come across. It's not that Blaziken needs an absurd level for Roxanne, but there is a move I would like for her that we can learn pretty early on that's going to be key later on in the run as well. After passing through Petalburg City and visiting our dad, on the beach outside of town, there's a a hidden heart scale here I'm going to grab, and we can talk more about heart scales sometime after Mauville City when they're relevant, but as I venture through Petalburg Woods here, I can lead into that a little bit by talking about Blaziken's level up moves. And you can see Blaziken is one of those Pokemon with multiple moves at level 1, and unfortunately we miss out on High Jump Kick, Fire Punch, and Flare Blitz. Having all 3 of those from the start would make this moveset broken, but even just one would help out tremendously. Through level up though, we get a nice mix of fire, fighting, and even some flying options. Sand Attack at level 10, Peck at 14, Double Kick at 16, which will be useful for sturdy users later on, Flame Charge at 20, Quick Attack at 25, Bulk Up at 31, Blaze Kick at 36, Focus Energy at 37, Slash at 44, Brave Bird at level 50, Sky Uppercut at 57, and Flare Blitz at 63. I might as well come out and say it now, but the move relearner in this game is located in Fall Arbor Town, right before the 4th gym, so I'll be able to add a move like High Jump Kick or Flare Blitz back onto my learn set. Or both, because there are additional heart scales we can pick up in between then. On the TM side of things, this list is pretty long, and I'm not going to cover every TM that Blaziken can learn, but I am going to briefly mention TMs that I used or considered. First up, Bulk Up. We get it once we defeat Brawly. It's going to stay on the learn set until we reach Lava Ridge Town, where we get access to Swords Dance, which really unlocks Blaziken. Next up, Hidden Power. If you think of Pokemon Emerald in this Pokemon, you probably think that Hidden Power Ghost is the way to go, but I'm going to be going in a different direction, going Hidden Power Ice. Hidden Power is only useful for one battle in this game, and I'm sure you can guess against who. Next, I'm going to briefly talk about 3 TMs, Earthquake, Return, and Dig. Earthquake you get access to in the Seafloor Cavern, and it is an upgrade over both Dig and Bulldoze. Bulldoze you can buy in the Mauville City Mart, and Return, while a nice physical option, it's just kind of out of the way in this game. It's located in Pacificlog Town, and unless you need an additional rare candy, there's no point to go there. Flamethrower I actually picked up in my first playthrough, it's found in Victory Road, but didn't make use of it. Rock Tomb, which you get after defeating Roxanne, has some use, and that pretty much covers all of the TMs. In the future, I might just put a link to the TMs for these games because they're quite long. Before entering Rustboro City, I can talk to this old lady outside of there and get a Chesto Berry. We'll have access to more of these later on, but the one fight I was supposed to put it on for, I forgot, and I thought I would just briefly mention that. The first thing I do once I enter Rustboro though, is grab the HM for Cut. This will give us access to those said berries later on that I mentioned. Next, I'm going to venture north of the city to clear out a few of the trainers there. The level goal I had for Roxanne was 16 so I could get Double Kick. It gives me super effective damage against her Pokemon, and gets around Geodude's Sturdy ability, which won't be the last Pokemon we see with this ability. I actually enter Roxanne's gym at level 14, and even after defeating the 3 optional trainers in her gym, I'm only level 15, but I will level up to 16 after defeating her first Geodude. I think this should be good enough. So nearly 10 minutes into the video, I promise I'll speed this up in future runs, let's go ahead and face the Rock-type specialist, Roxanne. Roxanne's lead is Geodude. I can take it out over 2 turns with Ember, but it does hit me with a Rock Tomb in the process, which lowers my speed. Blaziken levels up to 16, learning Double Kick in the place of Scratch, and last is her ace Nose Pass. I do misclick on Nose Pass, going for Ember, which allows it to hit me with Rock Tomb, lowering my speed again. But even with -2 to my speed, I'm still faster than Roxanne's slow rock types. Double Kick only needs 1 hit, thanks to getting a critical hit to take out her ace, as I earn the first gym badge. Before I can set sail to Dewford though, I need to rescue Mr. Briny's Wingull from Team Magma, which is no problem for Blaziken. I will say, I liked in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald how you saw what was on each route as you sailed to Dewford, and in this game, it just kind of looks like budget sailing to Castelia City from Black 2 and White 2. In these remakes though, you can't skip Brawly. You have to do him second, and you have to defeat him before going into Granite Cave. Unlike in the originals, no trainer is skippable here, and there's little buttons you have to step on to light up the room that you have to venture through. I don't hate this gym design, but I think they could have did better. But without further ado, let's take on our second gym leader. His lead is Machop. I go for Double Kick, which knocks it out. Blaziken levels up above a damage rounding threshold, and last is Makuhita. And like with Machop, Double Kick hits twice and takes it out, although I did get a crit. What an easy battle. Aside from the Knuckle Badge, the real prize is TM08 Bulk Up. I'm going to be teaching this to Blaziken right away because I'm going to need it for our next major battle. After delivering the letter to Steven in the cave, we can set sail to Slateport City. On the beach, there is an additional heart scale you can find that's a lot easier than the one I picked up earlier. I do have to battle against a few magma grunts at the museum, but they aren't a problem. They won't be a problem for Blaziken until later on in the run. Afterwards, when you try to leave town, you have this brief cutscene, if you want to call it that, where the game tries to shove contests down the player's throat. I don't remember. Is this in the originals? Has anybody ever done any of the contests? Are they even fun? I just remember having to make the blocks, and I thought it was a pain in the ass and waste of time. But let me know in the comments if they've changed in these remakes. On the route ahead is a battle against our rival that is considered the toughest rival battle in the prior games. His lead is now a Shroomish, and I failed to put on any type of berry prior to the battle. I go for Bulk Up because I know I'm going to need to beef up my attack for his Marsh Stomp, and Shroomish hits me with Stun Spore, cutting my speed. The unfortunate thing is that I'm a level away from Flame Charge, and if I had that move, my speed eating cut wouldn't be so bad. Shroomish adds insult to injury by also hitting me with Leech Seed. While I can knock it out, level up to 20 and learn Flame Charge in the place of Ember, it's not going to matter because Marsh Stomp hits me with Mud Slap. It's weaker of its super effective moves over and over, as I miss Double Kick over and over, before Leech Seed damage takes us out for the first reset of the run. I did put a Cherry Berry on prior to the next battle, but the Shroomish didn't even bother going for Stun Spore, instead choosing Mega Drain and then Leech Seed. While I was able to squeeze in one Bulk Up, it wasn't enough. Even with one of my hits critting with Double Kick, I'm still unable to take out Marsh Stomp. It hits me with its stronger super effective move Mud Shot, which also lowers my speed, allowing it to outspeed me and take me out the next turn. I lost 2 more times to the rival before this battle. Turn 1, I go for Bulk Up as Stun Spore misses. Turn 2, I go for Ember, bringing Shroomish to a quarter. It lands Stun Spore, but my Cherry Berry heals the paralysis. If you're wondering why I'm not using Double Kick on this thing, it's cause it has Effect Spore, and you'll see later on that that ability is a problem. After taking out Shroomish and leveling up again, we move on to his starter. What I should have done here was go for Flame Charge to boost my speed, and hope that he goes for Mud Shot, which would cancel out the speed boost. Then cross my fingers that Double Kick the next turn can take out his ace. Instead, I go for Double Kick, bringing Marsh Stomp to a third, and then I get hit with Mud Shot, which gives him the outspeed and puts me in a position for another loss. But instead of finishing me, the rival goes for Foresight on the next turn. I can take out his ace and move on to his final Pokemon, Slugma. I have super effective Rock Tomb for this thing, and the rival can Slugma balls after this battle. We have now reached Mauville City, which is now like an indoor shopping center. I don't hate what they did to Mauville, but I also don't love it. If I were to compare it to something here in Michigan, it kind of reminds me of Great Lakes Crossing or the Partridge Creek Mall. If you're not from the Metro Detroit area like myself, just Google them to see what I mean. I also don't know what New Mauville looks like yet in these games, although I'm sure I'll have to visit it with a Pokemon like Manectric when I use it. This is the second place where we can purchase TMs, the first being Slateport City, which we'll be backtracking to later on for something else. In the Mauville Mart, I'm going to purchase the TM for Bulldoze. There are other useful TMs here like Aerial Ace, Facade, Low Sweep, Charge Beam, and Power Up Punch, a few of which I'll be purchasing in some later runs. I have to battle Wally before I can enter the gym. He just has a single Ralts, and I just one-shot it with Flame Charge, but look how sad he looks after the battle. Like, it's all good, Wally. Dust yourself off and try again, big dog. I do like what they did with Watson's gym in the remakes. I don't remember if any trainers are skippable in the originals or Emerald, but none are here, which is okay. I purchased Bulldoze just to deal with the gym trainers. although it will have some uses later on as well, and I still have double kick for the annoying sturdy users that I'll encounter here. I didn't ask in the beginning of the video, but I'm doing something different with the layout in these games. I'm keeping it pretty simple, something I might add later on. Scott has the type icons that he made and lets everyone use, which I'm thankful for, but I think I might make some for natures, because I know that's something I tend to forget to cover in other videos or forget to mention. If you like the simplistic look, let me know. If you want to see some changes, let me know. But do keep in mind that there are currently not any mappers for these games. But enough of all that, now let's face Watson. Magnemite is his lead. I have double kick to get around sturdy, so I don't have to put a cherry berry on before the battle. Voltorb is next, and Bulldoze one-shots. Magneton is last. This thing doesn't have sturdy, but double kick nonetheless crumbles the steel type. 3 gym leaders up, 3 first try victories. I may have failed to mention this early on in the run, but I like to catch myself as Zigzagoon on the early routes and deposit it in Petalburg. This allows me to avoid a double battle on the way to Rustboro, and I don't need to withdraw said Zigzagoon until after Watson, when I need to use Rock Smash to progress. I'll catch myself a strength user then, usually a Geodude that I spawn from smashing said rocks. But in my test run with Blaziken, I was actually getting items like ethers and soft sands from smashing the rocks. You can also get the soft sand from a tuber girl on the beach outside of Slateport. I didn't do that in this run, but I could have benefited from it. Eventually though, I make my way to Route 112, run into my rival again, who gives me a free heal and the HM for strength. On the other side of Route 112, I can grab myself some Persim berries, which will have use later on. I get the secret power TM from this guy, and I have to name my secret base. Why does the game make you do this? Eventually, I make my way to Fall Arbor Town, and Blaziken is going to get a huge upgrade to its moveset. Remember the heart scales I picked up earlier? I'm going to use one now to reteach Flare Blitz. While I could have also taught High Jump Kick, I'm going to be holding on to Double Kick for the entire run for the sturdy users. And I know I would end up just deleting High Jump Kick when necessary for move flexibility. I also grabbed the TM for Dig, which I ended up not using, wasting about 5 seconds of time. On the way to Meteor Falls, I'm going to highlight a few things. The first, I can smash this rock and grab a protein, which thanks to the power of video editing, you don't have to see me use. Also on the way to Meteor Falls, in these 2 craters after your rival looks around, you can find a Comet Shard and Rare Bone. These sell for quite a bit of money if you're hurting for cash, or if you want to purchase additional TMs from Mauville, Slateport, or for a Slateport vitamin buy later, or for TMs in Lily Cove City once you arrive there. In Meteor Falls, I have a double battle against Admin, Tabitha, and a Grunt. In my testing with Blaziken, the fact that Coughing has Levitate is extremely annoying, and also in my testing, I didn't heart scale Flare Blitz back onto my learn set until about 4 Tree City. Coughing also never went for self-destruct like it does here, taking itself out and Mighty Yenna, leaving only a Numel left. I have to take it out over 2 turns with double kick, where a move like Bulldoze would have just one-shot it. One quality of life change I like between the GBA games and these, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, the automatic teleporting back to Fall Arbor, with your rival offering to take you back to Mauville, which makes getting to Mount Chimney much easier. It eliminates the need to catch an Abra. Of course on Mount Chimney, I have to battle my way through some Magma Grunts before facing Tabitha again, and I totally called them Plasma Grunts at first. But again, her Coughing and Numel are no match for Blaziken. The battle against Maxie though is a different story. I forgot to put on a Persim berry before this first battle, and the Mighty Yenna likes to use Swagger on turn 1. I go for Bulk Up just to cancel out its Intimidate, knowing I'm going to be at +2 afterwards, and I cross my fingers for good confusion luck. I do hit myself once against Mighty Yenna as it hits me with a Snarl, lowering my special attack, but I'm able to take it out the next turn. Unfortunately, the battle ends at Camelrupt. I hit myself in confusion, and it retaliates with Earth Power to take me out. In the next battle, I remember my Persim berry. I get a free +2 thanks to Mighty Yenna, Double Kick can take it out, it's able to take out Camelrupt with 1 use, and I have Flare Blitz for his final Golbat. This will bring us to Lava Ridge Town, and Blaziken is going to get a huge upgrade. I can talk to this Karate Man outside of the mart, answer no to his question, and get the TM for Swords Dance. I can also go into the house south of the mart and talk to this old man and get a free charcoal, which is going to come in handy to boost the power of Flare Blitz later on. Flannery's gym is interesting. I like the whole Japanese spa look, at least that's the vibe I'm getting from it. Maybe I'm wrong. I do like this gym design better than the GBA games. I think it's quite nice looking. There's also only one trainer who's mandatory in here, which I've corrected for some future runs because I fought an extra trainer. Flannery, I feel like we'll have her intro cut in future videos pending, especially if the Pokemon that we're running has access to Swords Dance and Bulldoze like Blaziken does. But let's give her this one since it's the start of a new game. Slugma is first. I set up 2 turns of Swords Dance as it sets up Light Screen followed by Sunny Day, and Flannery is just done from here. Bulldoze can one-shot her lead, the following Numel, and her ace Torkoal, an easy 1-2-3. After you defeat Flannery and exit her gym, your rival once again comes in clutch, offering to take you back to Petalburg, which I'm a fan of. Efficient traveling in a region with too much water. Let's go. I don't really have anything else to say here. Let's face our dad. For this battle, I was supposed to put on the Chesto Berry I grabbed in the beginning of the game, because Slacking loves to go for Yawn turn 1 like it does here. That would have let me wake up immediately after knocking it out and easily take out Vigoroth and his second Slacking. Instead, Vigoroth makes things interesting. It's able to get me down to low yellow health by going for Retaliate over and over. But thankfully Blaziken wakes up before it's too little too late, and that's another first try gym badge. This time, it's Wally that comes in clutch as you exit the gym. First, we finally get the HM for Surf. Next, he takes you back to Mauville so that you can surf across to Route 118. We run into Steven Stone here, and we have this little cutscene where Latias appears in front of us, distressed to all hell. If you're playing Alpha Sapphire, it's Latios that appears before you. Anyway, you take a ride on Latias or Latios to Southern Island, where you have a double battle against Courtney and a Team Magma Grunt. This battle in testing gave me trouble. The Camerupt would just one-shot me with Earth Power, and if it didn't, Coughing would easily finish me. But we actually get somewhat competent AI in this battle. Metang goes for Zen Headbutt to one-shot Coughing, and while Camerupt's Earth Power still does massive damage, Blaziken barely hangs on. I go for Double Kick on Camerupt hoping that Metang can finish it off, but it misses a Zen Headbutt. Camerupt goes for Earth Power, but it doesn't target Blaziken, instead targeting Metang. It's a 1v1, and since I'm faster, I'm going to come out on top. The real prize though is the free Latios you get afterwards. This thing can learn Surf, Fly, Dive, and Waterfall, 4 HMs that are absolutely needed. I see Team Magma pretty soon after Southern Island at the Weather Institute, this time battling against Tabitha. She decides she's going to set up Curse with Camerupt, which is fine by me. I'd rather see Curse than take an Earth Power to the face. Before I can enter Fortree City though, I have to battle my rival, and after you win this battle, he gives you the HM for Fly, which you can't use without Winona's gym badge. This battle is much easier compared to the one on Route 110. His Shroomish no longer has Stun Spore to cut my speed or Leech Seed to sap my health at the end of each turn. After setting up twice with Swords Dance, Blaziken just goes to town on his team. Flare Blitz in the rain one-shot Shroomish. I can use Double Kick to take out the Marshtomp, and I have Bulldoze for Slugma. Once I enter Fortree City, I'm going to grab the TM for Hidden Power. I went with Hidden Power Ice today to have something for Drake in the league, but it could also be useful against the flying types in Winona's gym. And speaking of Winona's gym, I run into this first trainer accidentally. Blaziken unfortunately is unable to defeat his Swellow, and I have to take a reset. I last saved before defeating the rival outside of Fortree, so that sucks. I have to do that all over again. I did manage to avoid him on the next go around, and there's only one mandatory trainer within Winona's gym, which is nice. The rest are spinners. Instead of teaching Hidden Power Ice for the battle against her, I'm going to teach Rock Tomb since it'll get boosted by Swords Dance. Will this be enough to clip her wings? Her lead is Swellow. This thing loves to set up double team then pelt you with Aerial Ace, but it doesn't get that opportunity today because after one turn of setup, Double Kick lands knocking out her lead. Altaria is next and Hidden Power Ice would have been a good option for this thing, but Rock Tomb is good enough, one-shotting it. Pelipper follows and I actually went for Swords Dance expecting a Protect, but it hits me with Water Pulse and goes for Protect the next turn. I finally land a hit on turn 3 going for Rock Tomb and one-shotting. Last is Skarmory, and being at +4 helps here, because if I were at +2, I don't think I'd be able to take it out with one use of Double Kick like I do here. And this thing has Sturdy, which is why I went for Double Kick, and that's the 6th gym badge earned. I'm going to do 2 quick errands before heading to Lily Cove City. First, I'm going to fly to Route 103, which by the way, you can fly to routes in these games now. I love that. It's something I need to remember. Anyway, I'm going to grab some extra Chesto Berries here. These are going to be useful later on. I also stop at home and grab the amulet coin from Mom. Next, I'm going to head to Slateport City. In these games, I have the date set to a Monday. If you play on a Monday, you can get half off vitamins in Slateport, a neat trick that Axukairi Sora told me. And if you buy too much of one vitamin and need to sell it back, guess what? You get your money back. So that's also nice. I have Pokelink open on another monitor as I play these runs, and in it, I have my EVs open so I know how many I have in each stat. I'm going to buy 6 proteins and 6 carbos to boost my attack and speed EVs to 100. In Lily Cove City, I have another battle against my rival, and this is one of the more annoying rival battles because of his lead Swellow. Like Winona's, it likes to set up double team before attacking, but unlike Winona's, it actually attacks me, doing well over half with Aerial Ace. I can knock it out with Double Kick before moving on to Swampert. It goes for Protect turn 1, which is a bit unfortunate. I could have gotten an extra turn of setup in, because my following Double Kick leaves it on low yellow health. Instead of choosing stronger options like Muddy Water or Mud Bomb, it chooses the neutrally effective Rock Slide, which leaves me on low red health. After another turn of Protect, I can take out Swampert and the following Macargo before moving on to Breloom. This thing has priority Mach Punch, and when it didn't go for it, I thought I had this in the bag, but Effect Spore triggers after my first hit of Double Kick, which puts me to sleep, and Breloom is able to finish me off. I have more HP in the second battle by the time I make it to Breloom. It does go for Mach Punch this time before I retaliate with Flare Blitz, which obviously one-shots it, but can Blaziken hang on from the recoil damage? It does, with 2 HP remaining. With the rival defeated, I can make my way to this house in Lily Cove and talk to this guy to get the TM for Rest. This is going to be useful later on. Next, we have to head to Mount Pyre, but before scaling the mountain, I'm actually going to surf past it and head to Route 123 to grab a hidden rare candy. With Tate and Liza coming up, I have a feeling I'm going to need these. At the top of Mount Pyre, I have a battle against Courtney, and this one is over quickly. I'm not at full health and I try to set up Swords Dance, but Camelrupt just goes for Earth Power to annihilate Blaziken. I made sure to heal up before the next battle, but also taught Bulldoze. It's not able to one-shot Camelrupt, but it also can't one-shot me with Earth Power, and Blaziken wins round 2. After I defeat Courtney, I make sure to grab the hidden rare candy from the gravestone at the top of Mount Pyre, and before continuing with the Magma plotline, I'm going to fly back to Petalburg and grab another hidden rare candy. This one is accessible with Surf. As I progress through the Magma hideout here, I want to talk about something, which is the box art legendaries. In these games, you either need to capture or knock them out. Since we're playing Omega Ruby, we're going to be facing Groudon. I did just try running away and testing, and was a bit shocked when that didn't work. Since I have zero desire to do the Delta episode, which requires you to catch Rayquaza, I'm going to be picking up the Master Ball in my runs. I also think I'm going to exclusively play Omega Ruby, because I don't want to flip-flop between versions. Before another battle with Admin Courtney, I have to battle 5 grunts at once. Yes, 5. And this is where a move like Bulldoze comes in handy, because it targets all 5 of these grunts' low-level Poochyenas, causing them to fall like dominoes. The battle against Courtney is what you'd expect. I was a bit surprised she elects for Yawn with her Camelrupt as opposed to Earth Power, so I'll take that. With the Magma plotline stuff done for now, I'm going to grab a few more rare candies. The first is in the desert on Route 111, hidden to the far right in this little crater. The next is on Route 110 just north of Slateport City on this tiny island that you have to surf to. This brings us to the Moss Deep City gym, and I have to say, I like the design of this gym in the remakes. None of the trainers here are mandatory, which is nice, as long as you take the correct paths when you activate each of these light towers. While I don't think my pathing through the gym was optimal, I did manage to avoid all optional battles. I will say, if this was like Emerald where Tate and Liza had 2 Pokemon each, I think Blaziken would need an absolutely ridiculous level, like probably at least level 53 to get by, along with opting for Hidden Power Ghost. I'm going to be rolling into this battle at level 43. Will it be enough? The answer is a quick and swift no, not even close. I have to bring in a second Pokemon for this battle, so I bring in my HM user Zigzagoon. Turn 1 I go for Swords Dance and just go for Growl with my Zigzagoon since it doesn't damage their Pokemon, and they're going to be using special attacks against me anyway. Solrock goes for Rock Slide, which targets both of my Pokemon, taking out Zigzagoon easily. Lunatone still has an attack and it goes for Psychic to quickly finish Blaziken. I used all 5 of my rare candies prior to the next battle to go from level 43 to 48. Turn 1 is the same as the last battle. I go for Swords Dance, Solrock knocks out my Zigzagoon with Rock Slide, but the Lunatone elects for Calm Mind over Psychic. I'm going to take this opportunity to strike, going for Double Kick, which knocks out Lunatone with 1 use. Solrock sets up the Sun for some reason, and another use of Double Kick takes out their final Pokemon. The Psychic Gym was a second try victory. I'll take it. With access to Dive outside of battle now, I make sure to grab this rare candy accessible via Dive on Route 127. From here, I make my way to the Seafloor Cavern. This place isn't hard to navigate. There are a few mandatory grunts and a strength puzzle that's pretty easy to solve. There's also the TM for Earthquake here, which I'm going to grab, and this is going to be a big upgrade over Bulldoze, and I'm going to be teaching it to Blaziken right away, because at the end of the Seafloor Cavern is a battle with Maxie. Tell me if you've heard me say this already in this video, but in testing, this battle was extremely difficult. His lead Mightyena no longer has Swagger, but now has Scary Face, which it goes for after a turn 1 Swords Dance. This isn't a huge deal because Blaziken is still faster than 2 of his 3 remaining Pokemon, one of which is Weezing. In testing, if I didn't one-shot this thing, it would go for Explosion immediately, and if not, its Sludge Bomb would always poison me, but this thing is one of the reasons why we heart-scaled on Flare Blitz so early. But now we move on to Crobat. This thing is fast and hits hard with acrobatics, but in this battle it goes for Mean Look, letting me take it out with Flare Blitz. Last is his Camerupt, and this is the first battle where we encounter Mega Evolution, and if you don't one-shot this thing, it can hit you hard with Rock Slide or Takedown, especially if it sets up with Curse. A +2 Earthquake is more than enough though, and the leader of Team Magma is defeated. We have this cutscene afterwards with Groudon. I like it. And going off topic here a bit, I have to say I am enjoying Omega Ruby a lot more than X and Y at the moment. These games are also faster to complete a playthrough in than X and Y, and pending how much you guys like this series, X and Y might take a back seat for a while. I make my way to Sootopolis City in the Cave of Origin to do battle with Primal Groudon. I'll admit, after I found out you couldn't run from this thing, I did try to fight it, but Precipice Blades would just murder Blaziken. It wouldn't even choose another move, just Precipice Blades over and over and over, to the point that in testing, I dropped my save file into PK Hex, gave myself a Master Ball, and looked up where the Master Ball was later. Sootopolis City Gym. It's the same as in the originals. There's a nice puzzle on the floor. I make sure to take it slow on this cause knowing me, I'd mess it up and have done it before, especially when playing on increased game speeds. It doesn't happen today though, so let's go ahead and face the final gym leader, Wallace. I forgot to put on a Persimberry before this battle, because his lead Love Disc loves to go for Sweet Kiss. Blaziken does hit itself once in confusion, and Love Disc goes for Attract, and I thought it was all over from here, but Blaziken comes to its senses, snaps out of confusion, and just goes to town on Wallace's team, getting clean one-shots on all of his Pokemon. I thought for sure he was going to give us our second gym leader loss, but the only gym that wasn't a first try victory was the Psychic Gym. We take that. Before Before heading to Victory Road, I'm going to grab 2 more candies. The first is outside of Fall Arbor on Route 114. You can only access this one after you've defeated Wallace. Next is a bit out of the way on Route 108, on a tiny piece of land, hidden in between some rocks. The only thing worth talking about in Victory Road is the battle against Wally at the end. We haven't seen him since we beat our dad in Petalburg. He leads with Altaria and none of my moves can hit this thing hard. I set up 2 turns of Swords Dance before taking it out with a Flare Blitz, but thanks to the recoil and Altaria chipping me down with Aerial Ace and Dragon Pulse, I have 40 HP remaining for his final 4 Pokemon. The next 3 don't strike any fear into Blaziken though. I have Double Kick to get around Magneton's Sturdy, Earthquake takes care of Roselia, and Double Kick takes out Delcatty, bringing us to his ace Gallade, but it's actually Mega Gallade because Wally Mega evolves it. Thankfully though, at +4, Double Kick gets the job done. As you travel to each Elite Four member's chamber, I like the little animations they put into these games, especially Glacia's. A blizzard followed by the walkway just freezing over when the door opens. Nice touch. Well done, Game Freak. Now, let's take on the Elite Four. Sydney is first, and like with Wallace, I forgot to put on a Persimberry before the battle, as Mightyena confuses me with Swagger after a Swords Dance. Although I'm able to make it by his lead, the battle is over once Shiftry comes out. After an opening Fake Out, Blaziken hits itself doing massive damage, and Shiftry finishes me with an extra sensory. I put on a Persimberry before the next battle. Mightyena hits me with Takedown before going for Swagger. I'm at +6 at this point, and I have more than enough attack power to decimate Sydney's team. I did get slightly nervous against his Sharpedo. It has priority Aqua Jet, which hits hard, and Double Kick activates its Rough Skin ability, which leaves me at 20 HP, but 20 is all I need to finish off his team. Phoebe is next. I put a Pechaberry on before the battle, and I go for Flare Blitz immediately on her lead Dusclops because I don't want this thing hitting me with Curse. Bayonet comes out next, and the Pechaberry is specifically for this thing because it likes to go for Toxic. It doesn't choose the move this time, instead going for Psychic after I set up Swords Dance. I knock it out, move on to her next Bayonet, squeeze in another Swords Dance for safe measure because I want to make sure I one-shot Dusknoir as it hits me with Spite. I take it out, knock out the following Sableye after it hits me with a Fake Out, and at +4, Earthquake is enough to take out Dusknoir. Glacia is next, and on paper this is our easiest matchup. I set up to +4 on the Glalie, which probably wasn't needed. It sets up Light Screen and Hail. The Hail is a bit annoying because I'm going to take chip damage at the end of each turn, and instead of 2 Celios in this game, she has 2 Frostlass, a big upgrade. I opt for Flare Blitz on her Ghost Ice types, which could miss thanks to the Hail being up and both Frostlass having Snow Cloak as an ability, but thankfully it doesn't, and Double Kick can easily take care of her other Pokemon. Last is Drake. I've taught Hidden Power Ice in place of Earthquake since it can't hit 4 of his 5 Pokemon. It's able to one-shot his lead Altaria and the following Flygon, but against Kingdra, it deals pathetic damage. Kingdra then goes for Yawn. I switch to Double Kick, which leaves Kingdra on low red health as it hits me with Surf, dealing massive damage. Blaziken falls asleep, and Kingdra finishes me off. I put a Chesto Berry on prior to the next battle to work around Yawn, but I'm also going to go for Swords Dance in hopes that Double Kick at +2 can take out Kingdra, which it does. Drake has 2 Pokemon remaining, his Ace Salamence and his second Flygon, but neither are going to be able to tank a Hidden Power Ice from Blaziken. I'm going to make one moveset change before Steven. I'm going to teach Rest in the place of Hidden Power, and with my Chesto Berry still equipped, I'm ready to take on the champion. Skarmory is his lead and it loves to go for Toxic turn 1, which is why I taught Rest. I've also kept Double Kick on my learn set for this thing and Steven's Aggron. Skarmory refuses to go for Toxic though, instead choosing Aerial Ace, the second of which brings me to low red health. I take out his lead before moving on to his second sturdy user, Aggron. Had I set up to +4 against Skarmory, I probably would have been able to take it out with a single use of Double Kick, and I would have set myself up better for later in the battle. Thankfully at +2, Double Kick can crumble his Steel Rock type. He sends in Claydol third, and this was his most problematic Pokemon in testing aside from Skarmory. I have to go for Rest to heal up here, and I wake up immediately thanks to my Chesto Berry, but Claydol uses Reflect, the one screen I didn't want to see. Because of Reflect, Flare Blitz can't get the one-shot, but now I have Steven in a healing loop as he burns through all of his full restores before I finally take out the Ground Psychic type. Cradily is next, and I'm going to heal up against this thing. As Blaziken snoozes, it hits me with Ancient Power, Sludge Bomb, but also confuses me, and I'm going to take a huge risk. Once I wake up, I'm going to set up an additional Swords Dance, bringing my attack to +4. I probably didn't need to do this, but I played overly cautious because I wanted to one-shot Metagross, and had I hit myself in confusion, it'd be a reset. But Blaziken is able to shake off the confusion. I take out Cradily with one use of Double Kick and do the same to Armaldo, before moving on to Steven's ace. He Mega Evolves it, but Blaziken moves first, hits Flare Blitz, one-shotting his ace and surviving the recoil damage with 16 HP remaining. My first run of Omega Ruby is in the books. Blaziken finishes the game at level 61 with an in-game time of 4 hours and 47 minutes, which I reset my game after it says you've saved the game when you enter the Hall of Fame room and use that game time as opposed to the one after the credits, because the credits are extremely long in this game like in X and Y, and your game saves again after the credits, and that game time increments. But I had a lot of fun re-experiencing Hoenn again. It only took me over 20 years to like this region. I'm going to speed these credits up some and give some final thoughts on the games. Overall, I like the updated graphics, and I say that loosely because these games are over 10 years old. I do wish they would have went with the Emerald teams for the gym leaders, but overall I get it. It's a remake of the original Ruby and Sapphire, not remakes of Emerald. I know at the beginning of the video, I said I wanted to talk about new features. I mentioned the Dex Nav, but honestly that's something I can cover when I Nuzlocke these games when it's important. Overall though, I had a lot of fun diving back into Hoenn, and I can say that I like Hoenn more than Kalos at the moment, with the few playthroughs I've done of this game. Which spoilers, I've done 2 playthroughs at the time of me completing this voiceover. I've done Blaziken, which you just watched, and I've done Kyogre because I figured it would hold the top spot when I get a tier list together until I run its origin form, and I expect Groudon's origin form and other megas and whatnot to surpass it as well for obvious reasons. I'm excited to run a new region and run Pokemon native to it though. So I guess give me some suggestions in the comments of a Pokemon you think might be really good, or one you might think would be really bad. As always, thank you for the continued support on the channel. It's a Thursday when this video is coming out, and I'm probably going to spend my birthday going to work, then going to the gym, and my wife will probably take me to a good steakhouse tomorrow. Special shout out to my channel members, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Take care everybody.